Alrighty, hi everyone. Welcome back to Salmon and Cod Playtime. I am ready to play with you all today. Are you ready? Let's do this. So we're kind of talking about fractions today, but we're going to kind of expand on that. But first, let's go back and let's look at what a fraction was, okay? Let's see if we remember. So I've got this shape right here, and it's a big square. You see that? It's one big square. Now I can take this big square and I can break it up into smaller squares. But all these squares make my one big shape when we put them together. Okay? Now, how many pieces did I break this up into? Well, I broke it up into 4 pieces. So we're going to put 4 pieces down here on the bottom because that's how many pieces I broke my big shape into, and these are all equal. They're all equal size, okay? Now, up here, this right here tells me how many of the pieces I actually have. Just because I broke it into 4 pieces doesn't mean I have all 4 of those pieces. Life happens. You can lose pieces, just like Legos. You can lose them all over the house and step on them when you don't want to. So let's take this one away. Right here. Now, how many pieces do I have left of my original shape? I started with 4 pieces. How many do I have now? Well, now I have, I can figure out which side of the board I'm on. Now I have 3 pieces. I have 3 of my 4 pieces. Okay? That's how many I've got here. What if I take this piece away? Right here. What if I took that piece away? How many pieces do I have now? Well, now I have 2 of my 4 pieces. Do you see that? I've got 2 of the original 4 that I started with, that my shape started with. Okay, if I had all 4 pieces, I could rebuild my shape. But right now, I only have 2 out of my 4 pieces. Okay, remember how that works? Good deal. Well, today, I want to talk to you, if I can get this erased here. Today, I want to talk about a measuring tape, because it is one thing that doesn't normally get talked about, and it involves fractions. I don't know if any of you have rulers around your house, but this is a measuring tape. This is kind of used for sewing, but I use it for everything in our house. I measure everything with this. If I try to move furniture in my house, I measure the space first, okay? So a regular ruler is 12 inches, because 12 inches makes up 1 foot. And there's 12 inches right there, if you can see it. Okay, that's the size of a regular ruler right there. Now on this and on rulers, I don't know if you've ever noticed this before, but we roll this up real quick and we go back to the first inch of this ruler. Can you see that? There are little lines all across there. Can you see all those little lines? They have no markings. They don't tell you anything. There's no numbers on here. And today, I'm going to tell you what those lines mean, because they actually mean something. Okay, and today we're going to figure out what that is. Pretty cool? Alrighty, here we go. So I've taken this 1 inch right here. It starts where this metal piece is, right here, and it goes all the way to this line with the number 1. It says 1 inch on it, okay? I've taken this very small little thing, and I've blown it up much bigger so you can see it. So when you see my little ruler right here, you're going to know that I am talking just about 1 inch of this ruler. I'm talking about this 1 inch space on this ruler. But I've made it bigger so that you can see it at home, because this is really hard to see and this is really easy to see. So we are going to talk about this. So that 1 inch on that ruler that goes from here to here can be divided up into 2 separate parts. You've got part 1, which starts at this line at the edge of the ruler and goes all the way to this big mark right here in the middle. That is part 1, okay? All of this right here is the first part. Everything from this line over is part 2, because they've divided that 1 inch into 2 parts. Now, I don't know if you can see my fraction down here, but it shows you that this 1 inch has been divided into 2 parts, Okay, it's been broken up. Divided just means broken up. Did you know that? Did you know that if you hear me say something's been divided, it means something's been broken up, like a candy bar can be broken up or a cake can be broken up. It's just been broken up into pieces, okay, into equal pieces, in fact. So this number on the bottom shows that this 1 inch was broken up into 2 pieces, and that this first part right here that goes all the way across here is the first part out of 2 parts. Okay, so this is 1 part out of 2 parts. This is the second part out of 2 parts. Okay, does that make sense? And this line is going to be the longest line out of all those little lines on the ruler, and it's right in the middle to show you that that's the one. This is called the 1/2, the 1/2 mark. Okay, because it means that you've got half of it here and then half of it here. That's the 1/2 mark. Okay, that's what that means. Okay, now that ruler is going to get more lines. Well, how does that happen? Well, then they take these 2 parts and they break those 2 parts up into 2 more parts. Do you see that? Pretty cool. So the next lines on the ruler, instead of having 2 parts at the bottom and being in 2 parts, this is where they broke that 1 inch. That 1 inch right here into 4 parts. They just broke it up differently, and they said, now we're going to have it have 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is going to tell you where each of those pieces are. When you go from here to here, you will have 1/4 of the inch. When you go here to here, from this line to this line, you then have 2 parts, okay? 2 parts out of the 4. When you hit right here, you then have 3 parts out of the 4. And when you hit here, you have 4 parts out of the 4. These lines are not as long as the middle line, okay? The middle line's always going to be the longest, but then these are the next longest, and they're going to show that the ruler was broken, or the inch was broken up into 4 parts, okay? All right, so first they broke that 1 inch into 2 parts. Then they broke it into 4 parts, okay? Do you understand that? So this 1/4 is where we have 1/4 of our ruler. This was in 4 parts. And I only had this much. I was measuring something that was only this big. It would be 1/4 of an inch. That right there is just 1/4 of an inch. Okay? 2/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 4/4 of an inch, which means I have 1 whole inch. Okay? Does that kind of make sense? Yeah? Okay, let's keep going. Now, we've broken this 1 inch into 2 parts. We've broken it into 4 parts, but we can keep going. Now, we're going to break it into 8 parts. So the number on the bottom is going to be 8. And we've taken that 1 inch and we've broken it into 8 different pieces. Okay? These lines up here are going to be shorter than the lines we just saw to show that it's broken into more pieces. Okay? 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8, which equals a line, if that kind of made sense for you. Okay? There it is. That's how the next part of the ruler is going to be broken up into. Okay? Now we can get even more confusing. We can take each one of these little parts and we can break each one of these little parts in 2. What happens if, instead of this being 1, what if we broke that into 2 parts? Well, that would be breaking the whole 1 inch into 16ths. You can take this one little piece right here and you can break it into 16 pieces. And that's what this is, okay? So if I had, let me get my dry erase here. If I had 4, whoops, get where you can see it, 4 out of the 16 pieces, I would color in. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. and I would stop right there. And I would have 4 out of my 16 pieces that I broke this inch into. What if I wanted to have 7 of the pieces? Well, then I'd color it in to the 7 mark, right there. And I would have colored in 7 out of the 16 pieces that this is in. Okay? Do you kind of see how that works? All right. So I'm going to take this. We're going to, do I know where my eraser went? Yes, I do. Oh, there we go. Let's erase this real quick. All right. So we had our ruler, and we broke it into 2 pieces. I'm sorry, I keep saying our ruler. We had our 1 little inch, and we broke it into 2 pieces, into 4 pieces, into 8 pieces, and then into 16 pieces. And when you do that, you get a ruler that kind of looks like this. Now, a lot of the rulers won't have the measurements on it, okay? They probably won't have all the measurements drawn out for you. But the biggest line right here in the middle is the 1/2 mark. That tells you that this is the halfway point right here. This right here tells you that you're at the halfway point on your ruler, okay? Now let's walk through this. We've got the smallest measurement, which was the 1/16. Remember how that was the smallest that we measured? The bigger the number got, the smaller the piece got. Okay, so the 1/16 is right here. Right next to it, with a little bit of a longer line, is the 1/8 mark, because this is 1/8. If we divide the ruler into 8 parts, this would be the first 8th part. Okay? Next to it is the 3/16 mark, because if we broke this into 16 pieces, there would be 1, 2, 3, 3/16. Okay? The next mark we go to is going to be the 1/4 mark. We broke this ruler into 4 pieces. This is where that mark would be. So the longest mark is where you break it into halves. The second longest mark is where you break it into 4 pieces. Okay? The next longest mark is where you broke it into 8 pieces. And this tiny, tiny, tiny little bitty marks are where you broke it into 16 different pieces. Okay? Kind of cool? We'll go back over this in another video, but I just want to show you that the more you break it up, the smaller the pieces get. Okay? If I can hold it kind of steady, the smaller the pieces are going to get. Okay? You kind of understand that? All right, well, we're going to come back later, and we are going to do some measuring together, okay? All right, I will see you then. Bye.